everyone, my name is Mary Ellen and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things related to the storytelling industry. If you don't already know me, I write nonfiction under my real name, Mary Ellen Quigley, and romance under my pen name, M.E. Laverne. And in today's video, we're going to talk about my last author fair because I had a great time and I want to tell you about it. But before I do that, I need a drink of the good coffee because it's been a week and I got the good coffee today, so don't judge me. Let's talk about it. So last weekend, I had the Lawrenceburg Public Library Author Fair. I participated in this event last year and I almost didn't go back this year because, as you all know, if you've been following this channel for any length of time, I have been highly questioning my romance author career. I signed up for this after the event last year. They sent out the thing, are you interested in participating? And then they put you on a mailing list that email you, blah, blah, blah. And like, I've signed up and then I was like, because I am the biggest self-doubter. I have the worst self-esteem in the world and I have imposter syndrome real bad. I've talked about this on this channel multiple times. I genuinely think that everything I do is crap. Even at work. Like, I'll have my boss or somebody, hey, you did a great job on the blah, blah, blah. And I'll just be like, no, I didn't. Because I just think I'm crap. That's probably not normal. I don't know if I have trauma or what's going on. I don't think I'm good at anything. And so the last year or so that I've been working on this, because I really hit it hard last year, and I was like, I don't like anything I'm writing. And so I really thought about just throwing in the towel. So I went to this event last weekend 100% intending to just, at the end of this event, I'm throwing in the towel. I'm not going to write romance anymore. I'll focus on the nonfiction because we're traditionally published and we have contracts and stuff. And I'm not good at writing romance, so just don't do it anymore. And I'm really glad I did not back out of this because this ended up being an inspiration to me in a lot of ways. And I'm going to talk through what I learned at this last author fair. Now, to preface all of this, I will tell you that Lawrenceburg had their very first author fair last year, at least the first that I knew about. I think it was the actual first one. I'm going to give them some constructive criticism because this year was totally different. I'll tell you why. Last year was kind of a mess. I'm not going to lie. It's not that I disliked the people in the library. It's that it was not well set up. It was not as well advertised. They had everyone kind of spread apart. The romance authors and fiction authors, like any kind of fictional storytelling, all got stuck in like this back train depot room where you were like on the other side of the library, down a long hallway where nobody would know you were there if they didn't have signage, and their signage was not well done signage. We were sitting in this room last year and we had a few people come through, but it was not a good turnout last year. And my sister and I all together maybe sold 5 or 6 books altogether. We sold 3 physical books at the event. And then we ended up selling a handful of ebooks afterwards. I had a lot of people pick up information, like I had a lot of people pick up my business cards and bookmarks and all that stuff, but it ended up being like we spent the whole day there and we didn't sell anything, and there really wasn't anybody who came through. Basically, most of my interaction was with other authors at the event because there just wasn't anybody coming back to our area of the library. And so I was like, I don't know, but my sister lives near Lawrenceburg, and so we weren't out anything to participate. You don't have to pay to have a table. You know, it's not like I'm driving. I go to my sister's house 2-3 times a month anyway because she's my best friend and we're together all the time. So it's like, it wasn't like I was going out of my way to go down to Lawrenceburg and participate in the event. So I'm like, we'll give it a try. Look, I gotta give you props. I don't think anybody at the Lawrenceburg Public Library is going to see this video, but in case you come across this video, this was by far the best author event I've participated in a while. And to be fair, I haven't participated in very many author events, but not only was this one very, very well advertised this year, but they listened to all of our complaints and they moved us all into the main library. So you still had the children's authors in the children's section of the library, which makes sense. But then they had everyone else in the main library. And it was amazing because we were all together. It was a one-stop shop for all the books. And we were right by basically the entrance of the library. So anybody coming into the library, even if they had no idea there was an author fair going on, were suddenly face to face with a sea of authors wanting to sell them books. We ended up selling about 15 books, like physical books, between my sister and my book and my books. And we ended up picking up a lot of followers to the podcast, now a lot of new likes on our social media. We ended up having a 25 altogether new followers on our newsletter. We had about 10 that signed up on the paper, and then we had another like 10 to 15 that ended up signing up that day, later in the day. So it has to be people that picked up our card and then scanned the QR and signed up, because why else would they just randomly join the day of the author fair? You know what I mean? Like, I can see the correlation there. It ended up being very, very successful for us. And we actually left the event, my sister and I were both like, oh my God, this was way better than I thought it would be. So if anybody from the Lawrenceburg Public Library comes across this video, you guys knocked it out of the park this year, and I can't wait to see how you continue to improve this event next year. I was also a really nice touch that they included lunch for the authors, even though I didn't eat the lunch because my sister and I went out afterwards. And also it was kind of hard to eat because there was such a consistent stream of people coming through that like it would have been awkward. It ended up being a great event. I'm really glad I participated. I was able to sell quite a few books, and so was my sister. So we are really glad we went. A couple of specific things that I found inspiring. The first one is, as you all know, I think everything I do is crap, but it felt really good to have 2 people come back this year, and not for the book that my sister and I wrote, but like my books, my books, right? One of them came back and was like, hey, I bought your copy of Summer Wish, which, yeah, that was like the only copy of Summer Wish I sold last year. She was like, I bought your copy of Summer Wish last year at this event, and I loved it. I just want to tell you how much I loved it. It was such a sweet story. I love that it's short. I love sweet romances. I'm so blah, blah. Nothing but glowing things to say. No one ever leaves me reviews, and when I get reviews online, they're usually not great reviews. So the fact that she came back and was like, I loved this, I was like, oh my God. It felt so good to have someone actually like the book. And then I had someone else come back and was like, hey, I picked up your business card and I saw that you had a mafia romance come out. And I wanted to tell you, I bought the ebook. I loved it. I love that it was more focused on the family and the relationship and not like the world of the mafia. It was a really good, like, tame mafia. I really loved the book. Thank you so much for sharing it, blah, blah, blah. So I had 2 people that I don't even know that bought books last year and came back and told me they liked it. And I thought, wow, they actually liked it. And again, I have such low self-esteem that I was a little bit shocked that they actually liked it. But then also I thought, okay, maybe it is just me. Now that's not to say I don't have things to work on. My writing does need improvement, and I feel like everybody does. No one's writing is perfect. You should always be trying to get better at your craft so that you can be the best writer that you can possibly be. But it was encouraging to me to think that at least maybe the stories are good and that I'm just being too critical on myself and that maybe I'm not a horrible writer. I just have no self-esteem. The other thing that was inspiring to me was just being around other authors, because I feel like in a lot of ways my writing has stagnated, especially this year. I've not released anything in book form this year. There's been no new releases. And to see the other authors that are also self-published, smaller, lesser-known authors, and to see them every year come to these different events. Because I went to so many events last year that some of these authors, you know, you kind of see each other multiple times because we're all in Indiana and going to the same events. But to see them have new books out and new releases and, oh, this is what I'm launching this year and I grew this and I'm trying this. And it's inspiring to see other people grow in their career and to see that it's possible to have small successes. Here's something else I found really interesting that I didn't even think of. And it kind of happened. And then after it happened, I tried it I'm going to explain. This is going to make sense, I promise. I tried something after this happened and then it worked. And here's what it was. I never know how to describe my books. People come up and they say, what do you write? I write romance. Okay, but romance is like a wide genre. And most people who read romance have very specific subgenres and type of romances they like to read, right? And I'm just like, yeah, I write romance. I just write a little bit of everything. It's, you know, closed door, clean romance. And this is about a line shifter. And this is about a mafia dude. And this is just a sweet best friend's romance and blah, blah, blah. And then I had the woman who was standing in front of me and she goes, what makes your romances different? And I was like, well, they're short. She goes, what do you mean short? I'm like, short. They're short romances. I don't write anything that's over like 50,000 words because I'm a busy working person and I like to read a book that, you know, maybe I get one afternoon to read. I want to have a book that I can finish in one afternoon. So I write short romances because I figure there's other people in the world that also don't have time and they would want to read something that's a full story that they can read in a short amount of time. And she's like, I love that. And she's like, okay, I'll try one. Let me pick one up. She's, which one do you think I like the best? I said, well, what do you like? And she's asking questions, and then I eventually am like, I think you'd really like The Wild Side. So she buys a copy of The Wild Side. But then I got to thinking, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm telling everybody that I write just clean romance, which sometimes can be off-putting, right? Because not everybody wants to read clean romance. But then when I said, I write short romance. So then the next person came, and they're like, what kind of romance books do you write? Oh, I write short romance. So most of my books are, you know, below like 40 to 50,000 words. They're short, quick reads for people to read in one afternoon. Oh, that sounds great. I'm so busy with work. Let me buy a copy. Wait a minute. Am I on to something here? Another person comes by. What kind of books? I write short romance. Y'all, I sold so many copies of my books when I figured out that if I tell people I write short romances you can read in an afternoon, there's my sale tactic. I write romance. It's not anything special. Everybody, how many people have written mafia romances? How many people have written, you know, two best friends falling in? I mean, this is not new. We're not like reinventing the wheel over here. Okay. But when I tell them it's a short romance that you can read in one afternoon, game changer. Freaking game changer. And I did not even think about that. You know, it's like, should I rethink how I'm advertising this? If I just tell people I write short romances, I'm overthinking it. To me, that was the huge light bulb moment of this whole event. So now I'm rethinking things and I'm like, you know, I do still want to focus on nonfiction projects this year because there are a couple of projects my sister and I really want to get done. So I don't think there's anything wrong with stepping back and focusing on the nonfiction this year, especially since I do want to get my passion project out. And I'm sorry, I'm shaking the camera. But basically, I feel like this has lit the fire under my butt a little bit. And it's like, okay, number one, you're just not selling them right. First of all. Number two, get out of your head because you're not as crappy at it as you think you are. And then number three would just be, you know, have more confidence in yourself and don't throw in the towel. So that is what I learned from this author fair. I'm glad I went, especially since I almost didn't go. I think it was a really good experience for me. I really hope this event is one that continues. I know they put a lot of work into this year, and I filled out their little survey and just, you know, sang their praises to them because I can tell that they put a lot of work, a lot of thought, and that they listened to the suggestions that we made last year. This was a great event, and next year, when it gets a little bit closer to time, I'll let you guys know when it is, but it was a really nice experience for me. It helped me to get out of my butt a little bit and to stop, like, I'm so depressed because I'm a bad writer. You know what I mean? It lifted my spirits a lot. And I'm hoping that this helps my momentum for the rest of the year so that I can continue to be productive because I've just been kind of sitting around and moping instead of working on my career. So anyway, that's what I've learned. What have you guys learned in last week? What's new in your world? Update me. Let me know how things are going. Leave me a comment, like, share, subscribe, all the things. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.